Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It is Thursday, December 19th, 2024. I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather. So we'll just bear with me. Throw the playing time at 1.25 or 1.5. Get this over with quickly. And we'll end this video as soon as possible. I just want to get some information out to you. And if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that OptionsTender logo, and subscribe. And also, we're doing this intraday about 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a 99-cent member from YouTube, and you get the Discord with it. So join us in the room. Okay, so let's jump into it. We have SPY in the monthly time frame, 2007 top, 21 top, and 24 top. We're rejecting off of it right now. That's all we need to know at this point. We have some negative divergences that need to play out in the high time frames. I think that will play out just nicely over the next months to years. On the weekly time frame, just a better look at this. And what we'll be looking for coming up in the next couple days into early next week, we might find ourselves with a relief rally, and people will buy into it as a Santa Claus rally. So, it might take a while for that correction to occur just because it's over the holidays, light volume. We'll see. But I'm not sure that this is done playing out here on the downside. And so some levels that I want to point out is, first of all, a very important one is the 20-week moving average. And that's, I'm just going to highlight, put the arrow on there, and then you can see on the right, it says 576. So let's look in that 576 zone and see if we can find information, because I don't see that this can make it down to the 560 area, even though that seems like a natural breakout zone. We have this trend line here, this uptrend, and the 20 moving average. So let's go ahead and go down to some lower time frames, see if we can kind of match it up there. And we don't have any references until the 31st on the weekly, so we'll look at that at a later video. So here's the daily time frame. We already did some damage. We broke down from the bearish rising wedge here, and these are just some references of how things played out. I still think the 14% is very possible, but not in this time frame anymore. So you see these two, the blue and the red, those are super steep. And even after this large move, what would have to happen is after we get our bounce, it would have to really reject off of the 80 EMA and have really shallow bounces to continue down here for some sort of move of 14th. But I think this might play out just a little bit more clean. This might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, just real clean to the downside. We'll see. We'll have to see once that happens, and we'll have a nice playable move, correction to the upside. But for now, we'll probably pause this day like this. We're rejecting off of the 50 moving average so far. I don't know if we'll go any higher, but I'll show you in the lower time frame. So if and when we break down from this 585, then we'll be looking for a good consolidation zone from here. Excuse me, I'm just not sure that we're going to make it down to the 565. But this 574 kind of coincides with... Sorry about that. That's my wife calling me. So what we're looking for here, rejecting off the 50. If we break down from this 585 support, we can look our next kind of area here. The range would be that 575, and that also would close the gap that we have. We have an island gap here as well. So from this gap down to this gap up, we have an island gap, and I think that would be a good spot. And depending on where this trend line is when we get down to this area. You have that 20-week moving average. You have this uptrend line. So, you know, a couple days, 2-3 days, Monday, if we continue through to Monday, then maybe it's out here a little bit more. So mid to lower 70s looks like a good spot for this to play out. And but I will tell you, and we have some market structure, some negative structure here, lower highs, low. If we hold this, and I'll show you let's just go down to the 65 actually. After I show you the time and price, we have the 19th here. So let's see what happens here. Is this a low? Let's keep that in mind. And then the next one is 26. So let's go down to 65 and see why that might be important. Have to look at both sides here. So again, this is the area here. Maybe we tag just a little bit lower and that holds. If this happens to hold at 585 today, maybe that's considered a low. And then what we'll have to consider is that this is probably a 3-wave move. What that means is if you're a bull, new highs, right? I don't think that's the case. What I think that would mean is that we're going to get something more like a leading diagonal where you have a 3-wave, 3-wave, 3, 3, and 3, all the way for 5 waves. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I don't think the Qs look a little bit different, so have to keep that in mind. So we have NVIDIA that's super strong, and we'll see if NVIDIA holds up, then NVIDIA has a 3-wave move down as well. So we're trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. That's if this holds. We start to break 585, then I think all of these structures play out. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And so to get this a little bit more confusing on the Qs, it would probably, because we don't have all of this jits and jazz, we'll probably get an ending diagonal. And so it will look very similar to SPY, where this will look like an ending diagonal because it has but it really will just be playing this out in 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay. And so that would be a likely scenario. And then the Qs can play out looking the same way without having to play out structure. It would just be an ending diagonal. Okay. Hope that makes sense. And then maybe close this gap and you see the trend line below here. So all this area in play if we can break 585, which that's what I'm playing out. But know that we have the meat of the trade already. So don't get crazy with your trades in these 4 5s, 4 5s. We'll go look at the Qs in just a second, and I'll reiterate what that should look like. So on this time frame, I have some references. I'm not going to talk about these right now. This is what's possible. So with this micro degree, wave 1, 2, that's possibly playing out right now. 3, and then it doesn't have to go all the way up to the 382. We attempted to, but rejected off to 23.6. And so what that tells me is this possibly could be just a little triangle, so a bear pennant. And so this could be an A, B, C, D, E. In here for a wave 4, doesn't have to get all the way up here. We already put a SPY contract, 2 contracts here to go lower. So I think this might be more of a shallow one at this point because it rejected off of it 3 times. So triangle, and then tomorrow a resolution for that. And so if these all play out like what I think is going to happen, then we'll have a 3, 4, and then this wave 5 should play out. And again, all of these other structures can, then I'll put the wave 3 at the end of wave 5, depending on where it's at. So I don't want to put them all in right now because we're going to play the white structure out after that. 3, back to 4, 5, And then the yellow structure will end at the white 5. You get 3, 4, 5. So that's what I mean by that nesting that happened here has to play out at this end as well. Very mirror image similar. Okay, so see something on the 24th, and then we have something good on the 31st that matches up with the weekly. So I'm excited to see where price is when that cluster comes in. On the Qs, we're at a really good support line. Let's start with the daily. We're at a really good support line here, so that's why we're getting the reaction off of it. We're testing it right now. So this is, if the Qs break down from this trend line, then that tells me that 585 is most likely going to break down as well. So if this holds, then we have that other scenario that possibly could be played out, and maybe this is all of wave 1 here, and then this is done, and we get a deeper retracement. Oh, I want to tell you that on if price gets above 593.76, then we're looking at here Tesla goes. Then we're looking at something different happening. So this is all in play unless price gets above and stays above 593.76. If that happens, then we're looking at this all being done, this whole thing, the 3-wave move, and we're looking for a much deeper retracement for wave 2 and so on. Okay, that other scenario to play out, that would be the key level to look at. But it really doesn't appear like we're going to even go back up there to test. But we have to keep that in mind that we could. So we already looked at Qs on the daily, but if we have these former highs here. So we have the 50 moving average here. I'm going to highlight that. That's 506.53. And that kind of coincides with, I know, I apologize. I'd clear my throat right into the mic. Anyway, sorry guys. This is a triangle right here, and that would be this bow and arrow support resistance, and that would be former resistance from all-time highs there. That would make sense if price got down all the way to about 503, 504 to 506. This zone here, that would make a lot of sense if this broke down, and then we could see over time maybe a flat pattern or a zigzag that retests the wedge. So that would be a good spot there to happen and back test for wave 2. This will all be in wave 1, 2, and then we get a much larger move to the downside after that. So moving to the 65. There's a closer look at that wedge, and then we have the former highs right here, about 503. Let me get this support resistance there and put it right there. So that would be where this is possibly a wave 4, and we break down for wave 5 here. It looks like we're breaking down right now, as a matter of fact, but maybe we get a gap down tomorrow. We finish off lower. Not sure yet. But this, see, you have a little bit of structure in here that seems to be playing out right here. So again, it's not the same large 1 2 1 2 1 2, but maybe you can fit in really small ones. The whole point is, though, is that this is probably going to look very similar with a 1 2 3 4 5 moving down to this level. So with that said, price shouldn't get too far above this 8 EMA on the, very similar to this here. Once it got underneath it, just held it for these moves. Okay, so the 20 is way up higher, but so this should just trend down for a little bit, getting into support. SMH. Now that we're getting into wave 5s and such, I just don't think that we have really big play here. Maybe we go down to test that trend line and this gap here for SMH, but this looks like we eked out a new high here. This looks like a nice sharp wave 1, and so after this plays out, we should have a nice sharp pullback to wave 2. Very simple. I'm not gonna dive into all that. IWM's coming into good support here, and also the channel support as well. So this might be almost done as well. And then the VIX, I want to look on the daily time frame. Most of these we should really be paying attention more on the daily because things move so much quicker now. So after this move to the downside, we're getting the inside day here. We had that good resistance. I didn't just draw that in. That was in there before. So nice resistance there. And now we're testing this one here. So I would imagine we're going to get some sort of lower high as price gets a lower low. I think we would get a lower high in the VIX, maybe get above here and show some divergence before starting to descend here. And you got to be careful because when the VIX goes down, so does your options premium as well. So we'll show in the Discord what kind of plays we do, a little bit more in the money calls for some of our plays. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna let you go. Have a wonderful day. Sorry about the voice. We'll talk to you tomorrow.